Selfie Flotilla comes to an end, and a peace deal with Qatar. It's 5 and 10 from Skywatch TV. 5 things you need to know in about 10 minutes for Friday, October 3rd, 2025. I'm Derek Gilbert with our Friday 5, the 5 big stories of the week. Again, if you want to keep up with news around the clock, please follow 5 and 10 on X, formerly Twitter, at 5_in_10. Also on Telegram. We have a new Telegram channel there, posting links to stories as they break around the clock. Again, 5 in 10 is the name of the channel, and you'll find that at Telegram, or just go to t.me/5 in 10. Item number 5 this week, of course, the peace deal in Gaza. President Trump Tuesday gave Hamas 2 or 3 days then to respond or pay in hell, as he said. And we'll see what that actually means. The president has issued a number of ultimatums throughout the course of the war in Gaza, and hell has yet to come to Gaza, from the United States anyway. Israel still continuing with its operation in Gaza City. As of Wednesday, more than 800,000 people have been moved out of Gaza City to safe zones, humanitarian zones in the south. Axios reporting that Qatar and Egypt, the prime mediators in the peace deal proposed by President Trump, his 20-point deal, including some things that were amended a little bit by Israel and likely to be unacceptable to Hamas. Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani said, quote, "We in Egypt explained to Hamas during yesterday's meeting that our main goal is stopping the war. Trump's plan achieves the main goal of ending the war, though some issues in it need clarification and negotiation," end quote. It means Hamas is probably going to come back with conditions of its own, even though Trump has said there's not much room for negotiation. Hamas very unlikely to simply agree to the plan in its current form, because it basically cuts Hamas out of any future role in Gaza. Hamas looking to come out of this not only as the power in Gaza, but in Judea and Samaria as well, the rest of the Palestinian territories, in other words, what the world calls the West Bank, which means ultimately things are going to get a lot worse in Gaza before there is peace. And Hamas is counting on that, because the more images and video of destruction in Hamas, the more suffering of the people in Gaza, the more pressure builds on Israel to put a stop to it, which again would allow Hamas to achieve its goal of declaring victory and emerging as the dominant power among the Palestinians. It is a mess. There is no easy solution to this. Topic number 4 today is Qatar, and that is the peace deal, an unprecedented agreement similar to Article 5 in the NATO treaty, whereas the United States would consider any attack on Qatar a threat to the security of the United States. The guarantees in this peace deal spelled out in a post to the White House website on Wednesday, quote, "The United States shall regard any armed attack on the territory, sovereignty, or critical infrastructure of Qatar as a threat to the peace and security of the United States," end quote. Now, the U.S. already has a large military base, the Al Udeid Air Base, just west of Doha, the main city of Qatar, and that is defended by Patriot missile batteries. Those batteries were used to knock down the few missiles that Iran tossed at Qatar during the 13-day war. But this would mean apparently the missile defense would extend over all of the monarchy's territory there. Also on Monday, President Trump, as you remember, compelled Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to call the Qatari Prime Minister and apologize for Israel's airstrike on Hamas in Doha that left one Qatari security guard dead. This was kind of a humiliating phone call and photo op. That picture, the image, later posted by the White House to social media. This may be part of Trump's apology to Qatar for the airstrike, or its compensation to Qatar for Qatar agreeing to give up its asset called Hamas. Qatar is the one Gulf state that is still promoting Wahhabist Islam and promoting the goals of the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the restoration of the caliphate, and using it to eliminate something that Arabs, typically Muslims especially, consider a thorn in their side, which is the mere existence of Israel in territory that once was part of the Ummah, the extended Islamic community. We'll see. Item number 3, the Selfie Flotilla. Well, the saga of the Selfie Flotilla came to an end on Thursday as the Israeli Navy intercepted it before it got anywhere near the coast of Gaza. More than 250 activists detained by the Israeli Navy were being processed at the port of Ashdod. This was as of Thursday afternoon. According to the organizers of the Global Sumud Flotilla, some 500 activists were aboard the 47 boats that were intercepted by the Navy. More than 600 police officers, prison officials, immigration representatives deployed to the port of Ashdod to process these folks, having to do it on Yom Kippur, the holiest day, the Day of Atonement in the Jewish calendar. But processing them, giving them sandwiches, and then sending them on their way home. Item number 2 today, J6. Contrary to this headline, this was a CNN headline from December of 24. No undercover FBI agents were at the January 6 U.S. Capitol riot, Watchdog reports. Well, we now know that's not true, thanks to FBI Director Kash Patel releasing documents to a House Oversight Committee. The FBI did, in fact, deploy 274 undercover agents to the January 6th riots at the United States Capitol back in 2021. This put them in harm's way. They were not identified in any way so that Washington's Metropolitan Police or the U.S. Capitol Police had no way of telling an FBI agent from other people in the crowd. And they were armed. So it would appear that the only people inside the protests at the Capitol that day were FBI agents. It is astonishing. They've been lying about this for 5 years. Finally, the documents found by Kash Patel and his team released to the Congress. And FBI agents not happy about this, according to After Actions reports that were filed following the riots back in 2021. Employees, some of the FBI agents saying that they felt like they'd become pawns in a political war under former directors Christopher Wray and James Comey, who's now facing his own consequences, by the way. Anyway, this is really not a surprise to anybody who's been paying attention to what happened on that day since 2021. But now that the information is out there, it is not really registering any kind of response from the corporate media. It's like Hillary Clinton's response after the Benghazi episode. What difference does it make at this point? It makes a lot of difference. And we pray that Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and their team inside the FBI have the gumption and the knowledge to clean out the political bias one way or the other. Federal law enforcement should not be used for political aims by either party. Coming up, Portland, the scene still of Antifa violence, and they firebombed ICE, but they got the wrong ICE. I will explain next on 5 and 10.
Pedophiles and groomers are more likely to find your child through the use of social media apps, and they'll start a process called grooming.
It's a word that you've heard a lot over the last decade. Groomers exploit foster children in particular because they have a series of attributes that these human traffickers and groomers are looking for.
Most of how human trafficking begins is actually through social media.
They're looking for young people that have a history of running away. So when nobody knows where they're gone, nobody's looking, because they have a history of running away.
Some of the common misconceptions of human trafficking and child abuse, these are all just overseas cartels that show up with white vans and abduct women in the middle of the night.
They're looking for young people with suicidal thoughts or have had adverse childhood experiences. Hello.
They will groom these children by using often fictitious photographs or personas, or pretend to be a sugar daddy.
Pay attention if young girls without money come home with pedicures. Where were you? Oh, no, the boyfriend, he's taking good care of me.
The parents don't even ask how this has happened, but it's because they've met up in the middle of the day with someone looking for love who is uncomfortable with being maybe moderately older than what is legally allowed, but I'm gentle.
The number one thing that you can do to make sure that one of your children does not become one of these children is to be present and to be very visible. None of this stuff where your little kids are doing the tricky little selfies and they're on social media and you have no idea who they're talking about.
And slowly over time that becomes, to say toxic is the understatement of the century. It becomes basically a handler/slave type relationship where the children are abducted and eventually not permitted to go home and forced here in the country into forced prostitution at the behest or the handling of a John or someone that's controlling their schedule.
Item number 1 today, Antifa protesters in Portland firebombed a bus belonging to Ice Cube, the rapper, Ice Cube. Apparently, they saw his tour bus with the sign on it and thought it belonged to Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. This happened early Tuesday morning. Shortly after, back on September 23rd, actually, so about a week and a half ago. This was shortly after Ice Cube's performance at the Moda Center on his Truth to Power 4 Decades of Attitude tour. Video footage showed the tour bus with its front passenger tire engulfed in flames, heavy smoke rising from the vehicle. It was put out quickly. Portland Fire and Rescue were there quickly. They extinguished the flames, ventilated the smoke. The driver's side window, passenger side window shattered, passenger side scorched. Spokesperson for Portland Fire and Rescue say investigators are treating the incident as suspicious. You think? Again, thankfully, no one hurt, and as of yet, no suspects identified. This week on Skywatch TV, we are thanking you for your support that made this year's camps at Whispering Ponies Ranch possible. You and, of course, the intervention of the Lord, because if you've been following us for any length of time, you know that last year's camps were canceled at almost the last minute because of insurance issues. And nothing to do with the way the camps are operated. It's just a problem that churches and church camps across the country have been experiencing over the last couple of years. Well, thankfully, the Lord intervened. Coverage was obtained and the camps operated this year. But again, it's only through your support that these children in foster care, teens at risk, are being transformed by the power of the gospel. You can hear from the team at Whispering Ponies Ranch as to exactly what happened this year on this week's program, hosted by Joe Artis Horn. You can watch the program at our website, skywatchtv.com. Over the air, our broadcast schedule posted at skywatchtv.com/channels, or on your TV, if you've got a smart TV or a set-top box like Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, a smart TV powered by Google TV or Android TV. Go to their app store, find the Skywatch TV app, install it, and we'll be there whenever you click the remote. Of course, you can also watch us on the internet, youtube.com/@skywatchtelevision. Please subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, hit the like button, leave comments below. That helps the algorithm and helps the channel grow. It's a way you can help us at no cost. You can also download us to your smartphone or tablet. If it's iOS, Android, Amazon, Kindle Fire, we've got apps for all of those and links to those app stores at skywatchtv.com/app. You can also follow 5 in 10 online. We're on YouTube at 5 in 10. Please subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit the like button, leave your comments below, and also on Telegram and on X. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.